Have you ever noticed that some interior design trends look incredible, but you can't imagine living with them because they are so impractical? Well, me too, and I'm going to talk about all of that and more in today's video. You may have something in your home that just doesn't make any sense, but we're going to explore it today. Before we get into today's video though, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and check me out on Instagram. And I want to say a huge thanks to Wayfair for sponsoring today's video, but I'll tell you more about them later on. Let's get into today's video. So the very first impractical interior design trend we're going to chat about today is the flat wall paint in high traffic areas. So flat wall paint is all of the rage these days, right? Because you're seeing this in the Scandinavian design styles, the Japandi, the wabi-sabi, the modern organic, right? Because we love flat paint because it's non-reflective. There's no sheen, there is no Hollywood glam flair. It's just really nice, soft, and basic, right? And I love the look of it. But the problem with the flat wall paint is that it scuffs really easily. Notice my qualm is with the flat wall paint in high traffic areas, not flat wall paint in general. So in the high traffic areas, you're gonna scuff it. If you walk past it carrying a bag, if you bump into it, pretty much anything you do, you have to like walk on eggshells in your own home, which to me doesn't make any sense. I wanna be able to have an entire badminton tournament in my living room if I want to, and not mess up my walls. Actually, flat wall paint is really intended for low traffic areas like a ceiling. I don't know about you, but I don't spend much time walking on my ceiling, but maybe you're Spider-Man and I don't know it. You also see them a lot in sitting rooms, which are rooms that a lot of us don't actually use, and dining rooms because a lot of us ate like in our kitchens or in an informal dining area instead of the dining room proper. So flat wall paint just kind of isn't your best friend if you have kids, if you're just like up and about in your own home frequently. I just don't like that you have to be so anal about the paint that you have on your walls. So I really detest this new trend of having it in high traffic areas. I say go for eggshell, right? Or go for satin. Yes, it's a little bit more reflective, but it becomes so much more durable, right? And you don't want to have to repaint your walls year after year after year. If you're doing it yourself, it's time consuming and it almost leads to divorce. And if you're not doing it yourself, it is very expensive to get your walls painted on a regular basis. So just go for a more durable sheen. I'm telling you, eggshell really isn't that reflective in the grand scheme of things, and I think you're really gonna love it. I put it in all of my client homes, and over time they're like, yes, Kiva, this was the perfect decision. And of course, you can always go online and look at the best sheens of paint for different areas. Follow those lists. The paint companies themselves are making them. They know what's up. So please stop using flat wall paint in high traffic areas, or do it only if you have no kids, no pets, and you never ever stand up. But for the most part, that doesn't apply to anyone. So just skip out on this trend. The second impractical interior design trend you may be buying into is the dark colored bedroom. I adore dark colored walls, don't get me wrong. The cave-like vibe is great for basements and game rooms. These are rooms that don't require much overhead or task lighting. However, it is best to keep the bedroom bright and airy. Sleeping in a room that feels cramped and uninviting is not conducive to great slumber. Dark rooms cast more shadows in a space, and therefore make it look and feel smaller than it actually is. When your bedroom is a multi-purpose room, making it feel small is the opposite of what you want to do. Let's face it, nowadays most of us are not only using our bedrooms for slumber, but also to work from home. This means that we need a space that at least feels large enough to accommodate office and bedroom items while looking good for your next video call. It also needs to be a space that you feel relaxed in because above all, it is your bedroom. In fact, if you're wondering how to craft the perfect bedroom office combo, you need to check out my new show on the Wayfair YouTube channel, Interior Motives. You probably know Wayfair from their site, where you can find products that are perfect for you, but you might not know about their YouTube channel. I'm actually the host of their new show, Interior Motives, which is a show where we tackle the burning design questions that we all have. We design spaces that are practical, stylish, and designer approved. My favorite part about Interior Motives is that we style an entire room, so you know every step you need to take when it comes to designing a space. We leave no stones unturned. This second episode of Interior Motives is all about dual purpose spaces and how to bring the office into the bedroom without overwhelming the area. And since many of us are working from home, I think you'll love the episode. Interior Motives isn't the only show on the Wayfair channel. You should also check out A Star is Born and The Slow Build. Go check out the full episode of Interior Motives and subscribe to Wayfair if you want to stay up to date on all of their great content. I've included a link down in the description. You won't regret it. The next interior design trend that is super impractical is the motion censored light. So your security company loves them. We know this. All of the luxury contemporary spaces now, they love them. You've heard me even talk about motion censored lights. I love the idea of them, but let me share a story with you. I was just on vacation with my wonderful wife and we're staying in this suite. And every time I stood up out of bed, the lights would come on because they're motion censored. Have you ever woken up to use the bathroom at 3 a.m. and wanted to like maintain your slumber, but it's ruined? Well, that's what happened every single night because of these motion censored lights. They are a great idea, but for areas where you're sleeping all the time or you really need to focus, they are not ideal because some of them are extremely sensitive. Again, your security company loves them and they're great. Put them outside, right? They're going to scare everyone away, but indoors, they just are such a hassle. If you are going to use them indoors, I would probably put them in a kitchen, right? Because a kitchen is a great place to have immediate light so that you do not have to wash your hands to turn on the lights, right? Because that is such a burden. So I love it there, but maybe skip out on these in the bedroom or at least get light bars or light bulbs that have different settings. So some of them have a motion censored setting and some of them just have an on-off setting. Maybe use that one when you know you're going to be sleeping or resting a bunch. And if you're entertaining and you want the motion censored feature on, turn that on then. It was a trend that I thought was really, really great until I actually existed with it. And I've literally never found anything more annoying in my entire life. It's just too much light at all the time and they're highly sensitive. If I roll over in my bed, I don't want the lights to turn on. Honestly, I was like afraid there was a ghost on this cruise ship. It was like a whole thing. So I really detest this trend. So the next interior design trend that is a little bit impractical is the arched floor lamp. Now, I love arched floor lamps. I think that they are fantastic. They give off tons of light and we always want to add as much lighting as possible to every room because at the end of the day, the sun goes down and then we're sad and then we cannot see. But the problem with the arched floor lamp, and I know because I have one in my living room, I'm looking at it right now and we have beef, is that at least one time, and when I say at least one time, I mean at least once a week, you will sit up and hit your head on that lamp, right? Everyone does this with the arched floor lamp because it arches over into the sitting area and it's over top of where you're sitting, whether that be a sofa or a chair or an ottoman or whatever it is. And most of these lights are a reasonable size, right? They're not like 10 feet tall. So they kind of line up with the top of your head. That is just like the fact of the matter. Now, I'm not saying you don't buy these lamps because I think that they're great. They add some decor up near the ceiling, which we always need, right? Because we don't put paintings near the ceiling, so we need to have something. And a light fixture is a great way to do that. But what I am saying is I want you to be more strategic with the placement of these lamps, right? So make sure that you're hiding the base underneath your sofa or something like that. So it's not taking up precious floor space and so that you're not tripping on it. The second thing I want you to start doing is only choosing ones that have an adjustable arm. So an arm that can swing or an arm that can be elongated or shortened so that if you're hitting your head a bunch, you can just kind of shorten it or swing it out of the way. And this is a little bit more rare, but again, if you can shorten that arm, that would be nice, right? Because if sometimes you're just kind of over it, but you don't want to buy a new lamp, you can just shorten it and keep it moving. So this is the trend that is very impractical, but I still want you to buy into it. I just want you to buy into it with caution. And since we're on the topic of lamps, the next interior design trend that I find to be impractical is the lampshade that is completely closed on top, meaning that all of the light shines downward. And you understand the problem here. All of the light only shines down at one place. That means it is a spotlight instead of a light that illuminates an entire room. Now, if you have a room that has ample lighting already, kind of like my living room does, it's fine. I have a spotlight, it gets the job done. But if you only have that one lamp, you cannot see. We just don't want that. It's just too cumbersome. We're tripping over things. It's not a good time, right? So we don't just want to have spotlights. So maybe get a lamp that has an open shade up top. You know where to find this. These are honestly the most common lamps. And I think a lot of times now companies are making like these dome lamps because they look super cool, but they're a bit impractical because again, light is only concentrated in one space. So just be cognizant of this. Either have one of these lamps with other lamps or just pass up on it if you really need to illuminate a space. I don't have much more to say besides that. I just kind of wanted to let you know what we're getting wrong with this trend. I am here today to talk about a trend that makes it into every single impractical interior design video anyone on YouTube has ever made. And that is the coffee table book. I know you love the coffee table books, right? Because they're easy decor. You can throw a coffee table book on a coffee table, a side table, a sideboard. It doesn't really matter what it is, and it is amazing, right? It takes care of the design. But the fact of the matter is, coffee table books are expensive. They are the same price as my biology textbook from college, and that to me is ridiculous. They're really expensive. They take up a lot of space. We don't always know how to store them, and we don't read them, and that is the major qualm. If you have something in your home that you don't use, it shouldn't be something that you're buying, right? Remember that you can always take old books that you already own, so old textbooks, right? And wrap some linen around them to make them look like really pristine coffee table books. You maintain the integrity of the book and you have a book that you already own, so you're not spending more money. It's just ridiculous to spend $70, $100 on a book that you never ever open. At least use a book that you've already paid $70 for, upcycle it a little bit and use it as decor. They're just so costly and we just cannot justify this trend anymore. If you are going to keep buying the coffee table books, which is fine, at least read them. They are jam-packed full of amazing information, but I know that a lot of us don't read them, so I had to say firmly for the last time, the trend is over. Let's say goodbye to the books if we're not reading them. The final interior design trend that is super impractical that we need to talk about today is the flat woven rug. And honestly, this video has just become a video about Kiva's personal interior design mistakes, so that's kind of sad, but we got to talk about it. So the flat woven rug is incredible, right? Most flat woven rugs, they are so natural, right? You really get that outdoor element inside, which I love, right? Because it's all about easing the transition from the outdoors to the indoors, because we just don't get outside like we used to due to the state of the world. So I love that about these rugs. My qualm though is that they shift about. They shift about so much. I bought one for the living room, and whenever the dog gets the zoomies, which like is his right? This is his home. I'm not gonna tell him what to do in his own space. The rug gets messed up, even with a rug pad. These rugs just move about so much just because of the fibers that they're made out of and because they are so low in pile that it's just kind of impractical because you're tripping and you're always rearranging the rug. The only way I feel like you can really remedy this is to get a really good rug pad, to also get those adhesive squares on your rugs to just hold it in place. But honestly, that is way too much effort in my humble opinion. I love the look of the rug. It's just really hard for an area that people regularly exist in. I might use them in like a sitting room or a dining room. Again, the rooms that are just not as high traffic, or maybe I have just gotten like a bad dozen of rugs. Who gets 12 bad rugs? That just doesn't make any sense. I love the look. There's nothing wrong with the quality of the rug. It just has to do with the fact that they shift around. This happens to happen more with the flat woven rugs as opposed to other rugs. They are just really low in pile, right? So they're not thick. They don't have any type of gripping on the back. They're just kind of like coasting on the floor. And that is the reason why they're a little bit impractical, because they can just be a real safety hazard. I can't tell you the number of times I have tripped and people in my home have tripped, and I just don't like that about them. So if you have any good hacks for this, be sure to let me know down in the comments. But for now, it's just something I want you to be cognizant about when you're buying into this trend. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying take this into consideration first. Okay, you guys, that is it for today's video. Those are some interior design trends in 2022 that I find to be a little bit impractical. Which of these trends have you bought into? Which of these trends would you never ever buy into? Be sure to let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you liked today's video, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and check me out on Instagram. And I do want to say a huge thanks to Wayfair again for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to click the link down in the description box to check out the full episode of Interior Motives, and be sure to subscribe to Wayfair and their YouTube channel to make sure that you stay up to date on all of their fantastic content. Again, there's a link down in my description box. You won't regret it. Until next time, have a beautiful day.